Have you ever felt time slipping through your fingers like sand, impossible to hold? That's the first clue to the great illusion we live in. Time, that construction that organizes our lives, that rushes us every morning and makes us count the minutes until the end of the day, might be the most elaborate lie we've accepted as truth. Think about it for a moment. We never really experience the future, and the past no longer exists. Only the present exists, but how long is this present? A second? A millisecond? Or is it infinitely divisible, as Zeno proposed more than 2,000 years ago? Zeno of Elea, a pre-Socratic philosopher, posed a series of paradoxes that, to this day, challenge our understanding of reality. The most famous is that of Achilles and the tortoise. Imagine that Achilles, the fastest warrior, competes against a tortoise which he has given a head start. While Achilles reaches the point where the tortoise was, it has moved a bit further. When Achilles reaches that new point, the tortoise has advanced a bit more. According to this reasoning, Achilles would never catch up to the tortoise, as there would always be an infinitesimal distance between them. But we all know that in reality, Achilles would overtake the tortoise in a matter of seconds. So where's the trick? The trick lies in our perception of time and space as infinitely divisible continua. The paradox shows us that something fails in our basic intuition about how the world works. And this is not a simple philosophical curiosity. It's the starting point for questioning our entire experience of reality. When you look at the second hand of a clock, it seems to move smoothly. But if you could observe it with enough precision, you would see that it advances in small, discrete jumps. Time doesn't flow like a continuous river. That's an illusion created by our limited senses. Modern physicists have discovered that time might not be fundamental at all. In the deepest equations that describe our universe, time doesn't appear as an independent variable. Physicist Carlo Rovelli suggests that time is simply a manifestation of entropy, of increasing disorder in the universe. It's not a fundamental dimension, but an emergent property of the interaction between complex systems. What if I told you that everything we experience as past, present, and future exists simultaneously? Einstein's theory of relativity already showed us that time is not absolute. Two observers in relative motion will experience the passage of time differently. What is simultaneity for you might be sequential for another observer. There is no universal now. Some theoretical physicists propose the block universe, where past, present, and future coexist as a four-dimensional block. In this view, time doesn't really pass. We simply exist in different sections of this block. Your birth, this moment as you hear these words, and your death, all exist simultaneously in different regions of space-time. This idea is disturbing because it deeply contradicts our subjective experience. We feel that time flows, that we have free will, that we can change the future with our decisions. But what if this sensation of temporal flow is just an illusion created by our brain to make sense of a universe that is actually static from a higher perspective? Our brain is designed to perceive time in a specific way that proved evolutionarily advantageous. It processes information sequentially, creating the illusion of causality and temporal flow. It's like a film director organizing static frames to create the illusion of movement. When you remember your childhood, are you really accessing the past or simply activating neural patterns in the present? When you imagine the future, are you projecting yourself forward in time or simply recombining past experiences to simulate possibilities? Neuroscience shows us that the perception of time is enormously malleable. In dangerous situations, time seems to slow down. During pleasant experiences, it flies. A minute of intense pain can seem like an eternity, while hours of enjoyment can vanish in an instant. This subjective relativity suggests that time is not a property of the universe, but of our consciousness. Think about the phenomenon of déjà vu, that strange feeling of having lived a moment before. Neuroscientists explain it as an error in the brain's temporal processing, where the present is erroneously filed as a memory. But what if it were a fleeting glimpse into the true nature of time? A momentary crack in the illusion that allows us to intuit that everything already exists, that we are just traveling a predetermined path. Mystics from various traditions have spoken of the eternal now, a state of consciousness where time disappears. Deep meditation can induce experiences where the temporal flow stops, and only an expanded present exists. These altered states of consciousness could be glimpses of the underlying reality, beyond the illusion of linear time. Let's return to Zeno's paradox. If time is infinitely divisible, how can anything happen? For Achilles to advance, he must first cover half the distance, then half of the remaining distance, and so on. This implies completing an infinite number of tasks in a finite time, which seems impossible. The modern mathematical solution uses the concept of limits and convergent series. Although there are infinite steps, the sum of all these infinitesimal steps is finite. But this mathematical solution doesn't completely solve the philosophical mystery. How can the continuous emerge from the discrete and vice versa? Perhaps the answer lies in quantum physics, where time and space might not be continuous at very small scales. Quantum gravity theory suggests that space-time might be composed of discrete units like pixels on a screen. Time wouldn't flow smoothly, but would advance in small jumps, too tiny for us to perceive. This granular view of time would solve Zeno's paradox. Achilles doesn't need to complete infinite tasks because the world is not infinitely divisible. There exists a minimum unit of time, a temporal atom, below which it makes no sense to speak of further divisions. But then another disturbing question arises. If time is discrete, what is there between one instant and the next? Is there a non-time, a temporal void where nothing exists or changes? It's like asking what's between the frames of a movie. These questions are not mere philosophical curiosities. They have profound implications for our understanding of reality and ourselves. If time is an illusion, what does that mean for our identity, which is so tied to our personal history, to our past and our future expectations? Buddhism has taught for millennia that the self is an illusion, a constantly changing process rather than a stable entity. This view aligns surprisingly well with the idea that time, as we perceive it, is not fundamental. If there is no objective temporal flow, neither is there a self that persists unchanged through time. We are like rivers. Though we seem to have a continuous identity, we are in constant change. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "You cannot step twice into the same river, because both the river and you will have changed." Similarly, the you who began watching this video no longer exists. It has been replaced by the you of this moment, with new thoughts, different cells, and a distinct brain configuration. This view might seem desolate at first. If time is an illusion, does that mean we're trapped in rigid determinism? That our choices are already predetermined in the block universe? Not necessarily. Perhaps free will isn't about changing a predestined future, but about consciously participating in the creation of experience. Although the path may be traced, we travel it with awareness and meaning. Imagine your life as an already written book. That the story is already complete doesn't diminish the intensity of the characters who live it page by page, unaware of the ending. The illusion of time allows us to experience surprise, suspense, love, fear, the whole range of human emotions that give meaning to our existence. The perception of time as linear and continuous has given us enormous evolutionary advantages. It allows us to plan, learn from experience, build civilizations. It's a useful illusion, perhaps even necessary for our survival as a species. But recognizing it as an illusion offers us a profound freedom. When you understand that time is not an external prison, but an internal construction, you can begin to relate to it more consciously. You can more fully experience the present moment, knowing that it's the only thing that really exists. Anxiety about the future and regret about the past lose some of their power. When you recognize that both are mental constructions of the present, you're not trapped in an inflexible timeline. You're participating in the continuous creation of your experience. The ancient Stoics practiced an exercise called view from above, where they imagined observing their life from a great height, seeing their smallness in the vast cosmos. This perspective helped them maintain calm in the face of daily tribulations. Similarly, contemplating the illusory nature of time offers us a liberating perspective. From this new perspective, Zeno's paradox is no longer a puzzling conundrum, but a door to deeper understanding. We don't need to solve it within the framework of our ordinary perception of time. We need to transcend that framework. The arrow never reaches its target if time is infinitely divisible. And yet, the arrow flies. The paradox doesn't point to an error in reality, but an error in our understanding of reality. The map is not the territory. Our concepts about time are not time itself. Quantum physicists have discovered phenomena such as entanglement, where particles separated by vast distances seem to communicate instantaneously, defying our notions of causality and linear time. These phenomena suggest that at a fundamental level, the universe operates according to principles that transcend our ordinary mental categories. Perhaps time is like a prism that decomposes the white light of reality into a spectrum of sequential experiences. Reality itself might be unitary, while our perception fragments it into discrete moments. The poet T.S. Eliot wrote, "Time present and time past are both perhaps present in time future, and time future contained in time past." This poetic intuition captures something that modern physics is beginning to confirm. The boundaries between past, present, and future are more porous than we think. If everything already exists in the block universe, why do we experience time as a one-way arrow from past to future? The answer might lie in entropy, the universal tendency toward disorder. The arrow of time coincides with the direction in which entropy increases. A broken egg cannot return to its intact state. A cup of hot coffee cools but never spontaneously heats up. These macroscopic phenomena define our perception of the temporal direction. But at the microscopic level, many physical laws are time reversible. The irreversibility we experience is statistical, not fundamental. Perhaps consciousness itself is inseparable from this perception of temporal flow. Being conscious implies recording changes, comparing states, remembering the past, anticipating the future. Without the illusion of time, could consciousness as we know it exist? Some contemporary philosophers like David Chalmers suggest that consciousness might be a fundamental property of the universe, as basic as space and time, or perhaps even more fundamental. If consciousness is primary, then our experience of time might be a manifestation of the way consciousness relates to itself. This leads us to a surprising vision. Perhaps we are not beings trapped in time, but temporal aspects of a being that exists outside of time. Our true nature might transcend the sequentiality we experience. Mystical traditions have suggested for millennia that time is cyclical, not linear. Hindus speak of the day of Brahma, a cosmic cycle of creation and destruction that repeats eternally. The Maya conceived of time as a series of cycles nested within larger cycles. Modern physics doesn't completely dismiss these views. Some cosmological models contemplate a cyclical universe that eternally expands and contracts, or multiverses where all possibilities are realized in parallel universes. If time is cyclical, does that mean we're doomed to repeat the same experiences eternally? Not necessarily. The repetition might be structural, while the content of each cycle might vary infinitely, like variations on a musical theme. Or perhaps each cycle represents an opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. This is Nietzsche's vision of eternal return, to live in such a way that you would be willing to repeat your life exactly the same, infinitely. Let's return to our everyday experience. How does our life change when we recognize the illusory nature of time? It's not about denying our temporal experience. It would be impossible and impractical, but about relating to it more consciously. We can more fully enjoy the present, knowing that it's the only thing we really experience. We can make wiser decisions, recognizing that our present actions create the conditions for our future experiences, although that future may already exist in some sense. We can free ourselves from paralyzing remorse, understanding that the past we remember is actually a present construction as malleable as our future expectations. Modern therapy recognizes this principle. Changing the interpretation of our past can transform our present and future. Zeno's paradox invites us to question something so fundamental that we normally take it for granted. It's like asking a fish what water is. Time is the medium in which our experience unfolds, so omnipresent that it becomes invisible until someone like Zeno points out the cracks in our understanding. These reflections may seem abstract, far removed from the practical concerns of our daily life, but understanding them can profoundly change how we experience each moment, how we make decisions, how we relate to our memories and expectations. Imagine living with the constant awareness that this moment, this single precious instant of your life, is all you really have. It's not a fleeting point on a timeline, but a window to the totality of your being. This is the final paradox. Recognizing the illusion of time can lead us to live more fully in time. By transcending the tyranny of chronos, sequential time, we can experience kairos, opportune time, the perfect moment that contains all eternity. As Einstein said, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Living with this understanding doesn't mean abandoning our clocks or calendars, but remembering that they are useful tools, not absolute truths. Time, that great lie we live every day, is also a great gift. It allows us to experience evolution, change, surprise, suspense. It's like the frame of a painting, artificial but necessary to appreciate the work. Each morning, when you wake up, remember that you're not resuming an interrupted story, but experiencing a new aspect of your total being. Each night, when you go to bed, remember that sleep is not a little death, but a transformation, a change of perspective. And in every moment in between, remember that Zeno's arrow never reaches its destination, and yet it flies. The paradox is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to live. This is the final paradox of time. Only when we recognize its illusory nature can we live it fully, with the attention, presence, and gratitude that this everyday miracle of existence deserves. Did you enjoy this journey through the nature of time? Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more philosophical explorations that will transform your way of seeing reality. Until the next video,